Let me just manage this time. Let me get your views on that, Dr. Dogo. You think staggered election is the best way to go for Nigeria?
Well, you see, you can't really talk of staggered elections just like that unless the constitution is amended.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Clearly.
Oh, yes, okay. Under that context, I believe that it is helpful for us to have such staggered elections. Reasons being that you will have enough time and human and material resources to conduct each elections. For example, the ones we are talking of now, INEC shouldn't be talking of shortage of security personnel to reach the very deepest part of that hinterland that Chuma is saying, where rigging takes place. You can always reach every single village and hamlet under this present condition. So you wouldn't say that, look, somebody is rigging and there were no sufficient personnel, either security or INEC officials, to monitor and ensure that the right thing was done. So if you have a staggered elections, that is going to give that kind of privilege to monitor whatever is taking place appropriately. And at a particular time, you are not going to require so much money to say, look, we are conducting A, B, C, D at a stretch. You know, it will help. Also in planning, in what you intend doing, because if this one is taking place this year and 2 years down the line, another one is taking place, you will have enough room to plan each elections and to conduct a near perfect election.
What do you think, Mr. Chief Naji?
Look, this staggered election, even though it appears the way the things are configured now, we're already on that route. The only thing we require now...
In the future, we might see some elections still get annulled.
What we need is for INEC to harness this opportunity and demonstrate that this is beyond theoretical,
yes,
that it is more practicable and more beneficial in all ramifications to stagger elections, if it is on geopolitical basis, so that because resources are thinly spread.
Yeah, that's another idea.
Resources are very thinly spread. And I can tell you, Deji, it can save more cost, yet the system will throw up more credible leadership. How would it save more cost? Those people who are money bags don't campaign. They don't work hard at anything, because they know that on the election day, they will simply go and carry the box and beat up, even kidnap the opponent that might be popular and the choice of the people. But when the forces are concentrated and the searchlight is beamed more closely, there is a tendency for everybody to work hard, at least even pretend to work hard. And in the process, it might throw up the more credible candidate.
Now, there's this money that governors and the president of this country get every month. Now, the money is called security votes. Something I want to tell you about this money is that, or funds, if you like, is that first, it is not provided for in the Constitution. We don't see it in the national budget. It's not reflected in the national budget. And apart from the fact that it is not reflected in our national budget, when governors get this money, they do not give account as to how they spend the money at all. And we never knew how much governors were getting until recently, when the Imo State governor came out to say out of his 6.5 billion naira annual security vote that he was giving a substantial part of it to fund education, because his free education policy in the state. And now take your mind back to 2005, your state, when Chief Rashidi Ladoja was the governor of that state. You would remember the late Chief Lamidi Adedibu, well, the supposed political godfather of the governor at the time, had a running battle with the governor at that time. And the battle was over the issue of the security vote. As a matter of fact, the late Chief Lamidi Adedibu is on record, or was on record, to have demanded a quarter of the security vote the governor was collecting. Now, this didn't make sense to us at that time, but now it is beginning to make sense with the revelation from the Imo State governor. 6.5 billion naira, a huge amount of money. Now, it is not the governors alone who get this money. The president also gets it. And do not forget, it is called the security vote. But the fact is that the governors of the various states in this country are not the chief security. Well, they are called the chief security officers of their various states, but in actual fact, they do not control the security in their states. They do not control the police. They do not control the army in their state. So why is this money given? What is it used for? That is what we're discussing next. And let me start with you, Mr. Adegbuyi. 6.5 billion naira, quite a huge sum of money. Very, very huge. Now you give that money to one man, the governor of the state. He doesn't give you any account as to how this money is spent. Does it make sense to you? Where did we get it from? Because it's not in the Constitution anyway.
It beggars belief that we can spend public funds in a manner inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. I've looked through sections 120 to 127 of the Constitution regarding disbursement, appropriation, and spending of public funds in the states. Nowhere did I come across security votes. To be honest with you, I don't know what to do with it. Security of who? Security of the state? Or security of the president or the governor? Or security of the lives and properties of the people? I don't know. What that tells you is that we are running a dysfunctional system. And clearly, if care is not taken, by the revelation of the governor of Imo State, people may one day take laws into their hands. Because the greatest danger to our democracy is poverty. Poverty is killing many people more than wars are killing today. Let's do a comparative analysis. What is the percentage ratio of what is earmarked for education vis-a-vis the entire budget? How much are we spending on education? How much are we spending on health? How much are we spending on infrastructures? For me, something must be urgently done. Yes, I know that security is not something that you take lightly, but the greatest bulwark, or what you can do to ensure the security within the society, is to make the greatest good available to the greatest number. When people are in want, in penury, when life has become nasty, short, and brutish, then all the money in the world will not provide security.
We're looking at a situation here that we could say may be primarily responsible for why politicians would become so desperate to want to occupy the position of governor. I'll give you an example. Because Imo State says, the Imo State governor says he gets 6.5 billion naira annually. We know there are states who get more than that. Some get up to 10 billion naira. So if, as the governor of a state, I get 10 billion naira annually, that's money that comes in as my security vote. Now I'm supposed to spend 4 years in office. 10 billion multiplied by 4. So we're looking at 10 times 4, 40 billion naira, all in the hands of one man. How much would he spend anyway? So we're now beginning to understand, don't you think, why people will become so desperate to want to occupy the position of governor?
To a certain level, I think you are correct. If you do a rough calculation of what exists, maybe if you look at, he was given 4 billion, right, for him to fund education. If you look, assuming each person was to collect 4 billion in all the states of the Federation, 36 states, you'll have about 144 billion. If you include the FCT, maybe you have 148. If you assume that 6.5 billion is given to each person in all the states of the Federation annually, then you are talking about 234 billion for the states each year. Then multiply that by 4, and you see how much it will amount to, about $1 trillion or more. Am I wrong? Then you begin to wonder, assuming $1 trillion naira, what kind of development? I'm not including this time around the presidency. I'm talking of only the state governors. If you talk about more than $1 trillion naira in 4 years, how much can that be used? Then look at it in the first place. How much does Imo get every month? Probably not more than 4 billion. Then you are saying that about
Imo doesn't get up to that.
You are talking about that 1/6 of their allocations, annually goes as security vote. What then is left for development? I get what the point I'm making. What is left for the development? If you say you multiply that by the 36 states and the FCT before you even come to the presidency, you can now see where we have why we have little development taking place. You can see why people are extremely and are pathologically corrupt in one form or the other. Why should a person have that kind of money unaccounted for? And why do you need that in the first place? We have to get the definition of what security is, because the governors don't pay the police, they don't pay the SSS, they don't pay any other security agencies. I'm not saying that security vote is absolutely not necessary, but do we need that kind of amount as security vote? How much does a governor in a particular month spend
on security?
And
for some of these governors, they have security trust fund where people contribute.
And all their security personnel are paid officially from other sources, not from that security vote. You see it? So I think that is an area that Nigerians need to look at and rise up and say, look, this complete thievery and rape of our natural resources should be stopped forthwith. And I believe sincerely that right from the presidency to the local government, remember, this thing does not only exist at the state level, even the local governments and every strata of governance has that security vote. So we are talking of trillions of naira wasted or stolen or taken away unaccounted for.